National Garden Club website. This is where you can find the schedule for the flower show, and most of the information that I'm going through today is on here. You go to their homepage, and then you go to Perfect Vision 2020 and click on that. You will find the schedule in English, Portuguese, and Spanish, and then all of the entry forms, and also how to photograph for the virtual flower show. So these are the forms that I'll be going through today. All right. Let's see. All right. So here I am sharing a copy of the flower show schedule with you. So this is Perfect Vision 2020, which was originally developed for the National Garden Club Convention, but now it's been revised to become a virtual flower show, and we're hoping that you'll enter. The entries for this flower show can be made June 1st through the 15th, so starting Monday, you can start entering. This just gives a little information about the history of the show, but the key item here is that we want you to realize that this is not an NGC flower show. So if you're a judge and you're working on exhibiting and judging credits, you are not going to be able to get those for this show. But it's still a wonderful opportunity to enter a National Garden Club flower show. Just the table of contents. And the next page will give you a list of all the committee chairs. So this is a great reference if you need to ask any questions. These are the contacts, names, and email. The next page is just like in a regular flower show schedule. We'll go through the general rules. I've highlighted a few of these items that I think are very specific to this show because it is virtual. So, and also because this is a national show, it is open to members of National Garden Club, and it's open to all Garden Club members. I think in our clubs, I noticed that we usually open it to my club members or to a few members in the district, whatever, but this is open to all Garden Club members. So please take advantage of this opportunity. So all of the entries will be photographed, and they'll be sent in as attachments to an email. So each entry will be a single email. We'll be talking about this further. They need to be received between June 1st and the 15th. And as in any of our flower shows, no artificial plant material is permitted in any exhibit, in any division. And also, if your pictures show up and they are reviewed by classification that they don't conform, then they will be disqualified. This is the Endangered and Invasive plant list. This is a great resource also because this is for every state. So if you click on that, it will take you out to the USDA Gov website, and then you can click on your state and you can find out, any information on the invasive plants. So each exhibitor is limited to one entry per horticulture section, and one entry in the design division, and one entry in each of the botanical arts section. So as you'll see when we go into horticulture, I believe there's 7 sections. In design, there's 1, and there's 2 separate botanical arts sections. So 7, 8, you can enter 10 times if you want, or you can just enter 1. All entries shall be photographed by the exhibitor, and make sure that you don't include any identifying names in your photographs so that they can be judged anonymously. So for the judging, we still will use the standard system of awarding: blue, red, yellow, and white. And the only ones that will be posted on social media are the blue and 90+. After everyone enters the show, though, they will be sent a certificate that lets them, that identifies that they had entered the show. So that's kind of a special perk, and something that you may not get, or you may not have the opportunity to enter many of the National Garden Club's national shows. So it's kind of a special thing that they're offering. All right, so here we are in horticulture. And again, most of the rules are pretty similar to the ones that you would have in all of your flower shows. This one is number 4 is pretty much standard, but it also does apply because we have sections within horticulture that are for flowering or foliage. So just make sure you understand the rule for a flowering plant or a foliage plant. The scale of point is the same. It's on page 7 of the schedule, and you have the handbook for flower shows. You'll also find it there. The horticulture can be photographed anytime between May 1st and June 15th. So at this point in time, we're almost into June, but if you've taken pictures that meet the requirements, you could use those from earlier this month. The period of ownership is in the handbook, and it's pretty much the same that we always use. The horticulture cut specimens must be displayed in a clear, colorless, label-free container or vase. This, in our group, we still use green sometimes, but this one is for clear, so you need to make sure it's clear. You could find a clear glass container. You may have a clear plastic container, but the key is that it's clear and colorless. Also, for the container grown plants, they're looking for 12 across and 12 in height. And this is in reference to the container size, not the plant size. The horticulture entries, there's an entry form that I'm going to look at next. And this is one of the forms that I showed you that was out on the website. I'm going to switch my screen. So here's the horticulture entry form that you'll be using. It's a fillable form from the website. You fill in all of your contact information, garden club name, your state or international affiliation, and then you want to give the section and that you're entering and the section title. Too many clicks. And then there's a space here for you to enter the binomial or current scientific designation. So you want to put the name in here of your horticulture specimen. And you'll see that you're being asked to provide 6 photographs of horticulture. You're going to have a front view, back view, left and right sides, top view, and one with either measuring sticks or tape measure showing the height, width, and depth. On the measuring sticks, you can use a tape measure that you might use in sewing, a yardstick, several rulers, a measuring guide that, like for construction. One other thought was if you want to, you could use something that's sort of a standard size, and the suggestion was dollar bills because they're standard, and you could lay those together to show that your item is the correct size. In horticulture, there'll be only 1 entry per section permitted, and when you have all of your photographs in your entry form ready to turn in, this will be emailed to Ngc Horticulture VFS@gmail.com. So you'll notice on all of the different entry forms, they each go to a different Gmail address. Let's see. I'm going to bring up another different. I'm going to talk a little now about how to photograph. There we go. How to photograph for the virtual flower show. This is a information sheet that's also on the website. But just the key here is we're not looking for professional photographs. We know that you're going to be using your iPhone or your tablet to take these pictures, so that's fine. But you don't want to do any photoshopping. And when you are showing your designs or your horticulture entry and you're showing the measuring device, you want to see the entire length of that device. So you would go from 0 to 36 or whatever the length is. You want to shoot your image at the highest resolution. Don't compress it and just send it at the highest resolution. This is really helpful for the judges because then they can zoom in and look at anything, up close, especially in the horticulture, since we don't have the ability to, have the clerk hold it up for us and rotate it. We're going to have to do that with the photographs. So that's why you want to make sure you leave the resolution the highest possible.
Arlene, I'm just going to say for a moment, many users of their smartphones, when they take photographs, have no idea about the pixel quality. So if you have the opportunity to do HDR, that will give you iPhone users, or even if you use an iPad, the highest resolution possible for that. Because most smartphones, you cannot get to 2 megabytes. So HDR would give you the highest resolution, and that can be a selection in your photo choices on your phone. So don't let that turn you off. This is not a requirement. I believe David said that, just the best image you can get. In other words, if it's not 1 to 2 megabyte, they're not going to reject it because it's, that. You just do the best you can.
Right. Thank you. Let's see. So, like I said, on each of the entry forms, horticulture design, so forth, they will tell you how many photographs they want and at what angle. So make sure you only submit what they ask for. Don't go above and beyond because they may just reject it. So you just want to make sure you do what they ask you. So in horticulture, there are 6 views that are needed, front, back, left, right, top, and one with a measuring stick. For container-grown specimens, well, except for container-grown specimens, everything is cut. So if you're doing an arboreal or a flowering or foliage specimen, it's going to be a cut specimen, and you're going to be displaying it in a clear, colorless, label-free vase or bottle. And you also can use wedging so that the specimen is upright. The wedging that they've recommended in the schedule is something like plastic tubing, plastic wrap. I think you can probably use bubble wrap, styrofoam, but something to hold it up and give you the best view of your specimen. Also, when you're taking the picture, a solid background is best for the image. So place that specimen in the container and put the container in front of a solid wall or a solid piece of paper, something so that it will show up well. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we go into this next slide. Here, these are examples of some horticulture that is the horticulture pictures. So this is the left view. And you can see they've put like a piece of white foam core board or something behind it to show it off. This would be the rear view, they say. So you're seeing the bottle and the entire specimen. This is the front view. And then this is the right view. And here we have the top view. So those are the different views that we want to see. And finally, you see where it has the measuring device. And so you can tell the length of this specimen. If you go in close and look at it, the judge would be able to figure out the length of it. This is an example. And again, this is out on the website, so you can probably see it better. You can see it better there, but this has some plastic tubing that's been inserted for wedging, and also here, I think it might be plastic wrap, but just something to help it stand up straight and show it off really well. This is an example of a specimen that's been photographed in front of siding outside of your house. It's a little disruptive because you have all those lines and you have that extra vertical line in the back. So they don't recommend you putting a background on it. Try and go with something plain, but don't do this either, because this is also disruptive where you have it sitting in the middle of your yard, because when you're looking at this, it's almost hard to distinguish your specimen from the background. So again, something plain behind it is the best. All right. I'm going to go back to schedule. And we're going to see, continue on. When I went through the rules, I talked about the scale points, and those are mentioned here. And now these are the sections in the horticulture division. So we have flowering annuals, flowering perennials, foliage annuals, and foliage perennials. And again, this is where that rule number 4 under the horticulture is going to give you some additional information on whether you're going to be displaying this as flowering or foliage. The bulbs, corms, rhizomes, tubers, they're going to be going under flowering perennials most likely. And in here we have, again, the container grown. It gives a little more specific on the 12-inch max container height and width. And no combination plantings are allowed. You have fruit, nuts, and vegetables, and then we have the arboreals. So as you're doing your entries, you just will send in whatever you have. Classification will then receive all these entries, and starting on June 16th, they're going to start putting them in subclass, or they'll set up classes and figure out, everything that they have. I imagine they're going to have a lot of horticulture to look at. So this is just the section, and they will create the classes based on what they receive. So next, I'm going to go into the design division and some of the design rules. This is pretty straightforward. As you can tell, I didn't really highlight a whole lot here because it's the design rules that you would normally have in your flower show. But one of the differences here is an exhibitor may only enter one class. So just pick your favorite, do your best, and enter that one. And again, these are the design entry procedures that we'll go through, and this is a separate form that is also available on the website. And here we are showing the scale points for judging, which is the same scale points that we always use in judging design. So here are the design classes. Classes. And let's see. Here we do get very specific on the amount of space that we have available for the design. Your space is 30 inches wide, 24 deep, and 36 inches tall. And you are required to have a staging panel 30 inches wide and 36 inches tall. So it's very important that you follow these rules because these are required sizes. So your design is going to be a big design. It's not going to be a petite design that you take a picture up really close and make it look big. This is all designer's choice of plant material. You can use fresh or dried. The first class is an Ngc American Traditional Mass Design. There's references to the handbook on the pages for this. The main item that you need to take away from here is that it must feature roses. The roses may or may not be grown by the exhibitor, but it must feature roses. The next design is an Ngc Underwater Design, and this is a creative design. And again, it references the page in the handbook where you'll find information on underwater design. Class 3 is a creative design, and the staging panel must be incorporated into the design. I'm going to switch to, show you. I've got an example here of incorporating it into the design. Here is a design that is a creative design, and on here you can also see where I've set up the measuring sticks on it. And this design incorporates the staging panel. as we go through a couple of the pictures, you'll see how that worked. But you can also see that I used a yardstick, a tape measure, just a regular construction ruler, I don't know what you call them, and then just 12-inch rulers. But some different options for making to show how the size of your design. Did that switch? Did that design change?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I wasn't sure. Okay, so this is the front view of the design. This is the side view, the left side.
You have no picture showing right now.
Okay. Let's see. Did that change?
Yes.
To the front. That's the front view. And you can see the on the top right, the allium that's been spray painted blue. That is connected to the backboard, or the staging panel. So that is how we are incorporating the staging panel in the design. And I think I have to do this. This is the left side view, and again, you can see how the allium is incorporating the staging panel. And I'm not sure if I'm making this more difficult than I need to for sharing, but anyway, here's the right side. So those would be the 4 photographs that we want to send in with our design entry form.
And could you go through that again? It's going to be a left, a right, a front.
Yes, and one with the measuring sticks.
Okay.
Does this? Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Is it changing them now?
Yes,
okay.
It did.
All right.
Yeah.
Measuring sticks, the front, the left, and the right. And what I did on here is I put a board behind it just because I think it makes it easier for you to look at the entire design. You'll see in another example where I think the background gets a little bit distracting. Okay, so we'll go back to I'm going back to the schedule. So that one was the creative design with the staging panel incorporated. The next one is an Ngc transparency design. Again, this is a creative design and the description is on page 77. But the key here is that you have a see-through element. And then the final is a Ngc Cascade design. This can be creative or traditional design, but the information about a Cascade design is on page 73 of the handbook. Let's see.
And Arlene, we're recommending that if anybody doesn't own the handbook, that I'm sure if they put the call out that somebody be willing to drop one off on their front porch, or they can still purchase it online through the National Garden Club store so that you can have it online and go through the pages all match up. So you can actually purchase the handbook, the online version, just in case you need a reference point and you want to own it.
Right. And the other, you can contact any of the judges from the Judges Council, and I'm sure they'd be glad to help you.
And how would they get a hold of the Judges Council, Arlene? Through you, correct?
Yep, they can contact me and I can line them up. I can either answer questions or I can connect them to somebody else that can answer questions. So I'm now back at the photography of the virtual flower show, or how to photograph for the virtual flower show. So this is the document that's on the website about photographing. And now it's about the design division. And as we just looked at, it's asking for 4 views, front, left, right, and one with the measuring sticks. Do not crop the image. They really want to be able to see at least an outline of your staging so that they can guarantee that, you followed the rules on the size and what they've asked for with the staging panel. That you probably want to take it a little bit from above to show so that that your design is not going above your staging panel. And so consider a flat staging panel. So here we are with another example of a design, and this is the left side view. This one has the measuring sticks pretty much in a bunch of the pictures, but you don't need to leave them in every one. You just need it in the one. This would be the front view. This is the right view. And if you go out and look at these, I'm not sure if you can tell here, but you can see a big wrinkle in the underlay. So you just want to be careful that everything looks, pristine here, because that is something that will be looked at and probably judged down on. And again, this is the design with the measuring sticks. Oops. Here's the design entry form. It's very similar to the horticulture, but where you enter all your information, class title. And in here you enter the plant material used in the design. And as our regular flower shows, you don't have to use botanical names, but you can just use common names here for plant material. This form needs to be emailed with your photographs. And again, they tell you the 4 photographs that they want, and only 1 entry per design division permitted. And so you need to just figure out which design you want to make and enter only 1. And this again goes to Ngc Design bfs@gmail.com. So it's a different Gmail address. Entries are accepted June 1st through June 15th. And back to our schedule. Here we are back at our schedule, and we've gone into the Botanical Arts division. And again, I highlighted some of the rules. Only 1 entry per Botanical Arts section is allowed. So you'll see here there are 2 sections, so you can do 2 Botanical Arts entries. They also must list the plant material on the entry form. And again, I believe this can just be common names. You don't have to do the botanical names. And there's a separate entry form for the first section and a different one for the second section. So the first one is Botanical Arts Design, and this is an exploration freedom of style. This staging is going to be 36 inches wide and 24 inches deep. And the way they say it here is the staging panel is not to exceed 48 inches high. So in contrast to the design entry, where they tell you the exact size that you need to use for your staging panel, you have freedom to use a different height for the staging panel here. You still need it 36 inches wide and no more than 24 inches deep, but you can make your height whatever you want up to 48 inches. So that's a little bit of a difference that you'll see in this Botanical Arts. And also the exploration freedom of style is defined or explained on page 94 of the handbook. But one of the things that's different about this design type is if you're using fresh plant material, you are allowed to paint it or to dye it. You can do things to it that you are not allowed to do in the regular design section. So that's something fun that you might want to try. And this is kind of like anything goes. Give it a try. Be as creative as possible and see what you come up with for this exploration freedom of style design type.
And Arlene, the 48 inches high, a lot of people might not have foam core. Obviously, that is that dimension. Did we ask the question the other day when we went through this that material you could just measure out any kind of material to be that 48 inches to pin somewhere so that you have that backing? In other words, it's not dictated by simply foam core, correct, or something rigid.
True, but when you use it, you usually want it to be like smooth and not wrinkled or anything. So a lot of times you want it on something rigid. But if that's not an option and you want to give it a try, you can do that. I don't know how that would be judged.
I think what came out the other day is that as long as the measurements were correct and it was behind it, that would be okay.
Okay, good. So yeah, I know 48 inches high is tall, but you don't have to go 48 inches high. That's the other point. You can still make it shorter if it works for your design. And that will have a design. So now this is the entry card or the entry form for the Botanical Arts design. So again, all the same information, your plant material. This one, you're also doing 4 photographs, just like in our other design division, front, right, left, and with the measuring tapes. And this goes to a different Gmail, Ngc Botanical Arts BFF. So a lot of similar information, but just a different form and a different email address. So here we are back to our schedule, and we're going to look at the Botanical Arts Artistic Craft. This is one class here, and it's a decorated outdoor seat. It could be a chair, a bench, a stool of the designer's choice. And I have a little more information I can share with you on this. This is not on the website, but it's some good information that I received from the chair of the consultant of this department, Carol Bullard. She said she received some questions, and it was on, is there a size limit if I decide to do the chair? Is it a regular sized patio chair? So basically she's saying you can use any type of garden seat you want, and the size is up to you. But remember that it's going to be judged from your photograph. So you want to be able to take a photograph that will give you the best view of it, and so that your seat's not too large so that your photograph is very condensed and small. So that was her reference, her recommendation there. The key thing too is that this chair has to be functional after it's decorated. So you need to be careful where you're decorating. You probably don't want to be doing the decorations on the seat or the seat back. There's going to be more around it. And so functional is important. So keep that in mind if you're choosing to do this artistic craft. And in here, you can use any type of decorations, but you cannot use any artificial. But that's the same in every section in class in the flower show. No artificial. But you cannot spray any of the fresh material. No spray painting fresh material. It's still back. That's only in that one exploration class. And then this one is going to be 5 photos, and they all go in one email. You're going to do a front view, back view, left side view, right side view, and one with either measuring sticks or tape measures. So her suggestion is to take lots of photos and select the best one of each view. Again, you don't want to send more than they ask for, but you do want to have several to choose from so that you can pick the best. Another suggestion is to be sure to copy yourself when emailing and ask for confirmation of receipt. This is a good suggestion for all of the entries. And then she just said to, include the information on the subject line of your email. For example, Botanical Arts, Artistic Craft, the name, Division 3, Section B, Class 1. And that's just another suggestion there. And make sure it gets sent to the correct Gmail account. So I'm going to go, let me see, I've got this is the actual form. You can see. So this is the form for Botanical Arts Artistic Craft. Again, all the same information. List your plant material. Here it tells you about the 5 photographs that it wants and who this form is submitted to. And all of these entries are going in between June 1st and June 15th. And I believe that's everything that I have on this actual schedule. It goes, if you go to the actual schedule, when you look at it online, it does follow up with examples of the entry forms. But these are not the forms that you're going to be using. You can go out to the website and use the fillable form. So there you go with our virtual flower show. I hope everyone takes this opportunity to enter and have fun. Thanks.
Thanks, Arlene. And this